Good evening and welcome back to the Woman Factor. I am now joined by Adrianna Eschete, the Louisiana State Leader for the Bayou Region Chapter, and Cassi Davis, an RSO NRA Certified Instructor in Pistol, and also the co-leader of the Well-Armed Women Bayou Region Chapters. So thank you ladies so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having us.
And so now, just a little bit about yourselves and your background.
Both of us are certified instructors with the United States Concealed Carry Association, as well as the National Rifle Association and the Well-Armed Woman.
Okay.
There are several certifications that under each that we have acquired, and we lead a local shooting chapter of ladies.
Okay.
That we actually came here in November of last year and talked about in depth more about the Well-Armed Woman.
And so now, are there more certifications that you guys are working on getting, or are y'all pretty much?
Always.
I'm sure there's always
We're
new.
laying out the roadmap right now.
Okay. And so, how did this start? You know, how did you get involved in this?
It's kind of a long story, but personal protection has been a big issue, and my husband actually introduced me to firearms, and then I didn't really take it so seriously until I felt like it was necessary.
Yeah.
And then once I started my training journey, it's just a never-ending road. You're always acquiring something different every single time. So,
and it's a lot of education that you get,
Absolutely.
You know, behind everything and every certification, and it's really good to know all those details.
Absolutely. And then there are so many ladies in particular that would like to learn about those topics and have a little bit of fear or a little bit of anxiety about it. So, bringing that education down to a level that's a little bit more comfortable for them to learn in an environment that's friendly is something of benefit.
And so now, I know that you guys are giving a free session, so tell us a little bit about the class. You know, how does this work?
So our session is going to be September 15th from 8 to 12 at First Baptist Church.
Okay.
We are inviting all educators from preschool all the way to adult education, bus drivers, anybody that's got anything to do with educating our children.
Okay.
Our class focuses on, the class itself is called Lockdown Plus, and it focuses on the next step after lockdown. So I know that a lot of the teachers have learned to lock down, and they've learned that with either the local sheriff's departments or the FEMA or a couple other agencies offer free classes. You have to have that next step. You can't just lock down and be a sitting duck. You have to have a plan of action after that. So our class goes into detail about what that plan of action could be.
Okay, and so is this basically like a self-defense, or is it more of like arms training?
It's a little bit different. I mean, of course, what we're trained in is more of an arm training or arm defense. However, our training covers a wide variety of areas, all the way from just being able to protect yourself or being able to put yourself in a situation where you're not a victim at all. This does not involve weapons in any way. And then all the way through, defensive pistol or defensive situations or tactical situations. But this particular course, the reason why it came about was from Parkland. After Parkland, there were lots of instructors across the country that decided that we needed to contribute back. Although we sit here and instruct people how to be safe with firearms, some people don't even want to use firearms. So maybe part of that instruction needs to be, how do you protect yourself from someone who might be using a firearm against you?
When you don't have
Exactly.
one.
And of course, the education sector is really vulnerable right now. It's something that unfortunately happens quite often. So we wanted to give back. You know, we teach people how to use the firearm safely, but now we want to also provide that education or options for you to protect yourself away from that.
Right.
And obviously you can't have a firearm on campus.
school.
So there are other things that you can do and mentalities and things that you can do to prepare yourself within that lockdown situation. So we already know that you're going to be in lockdown, but what do you do there? Do you just sit there and wait? Or are you planning the next move?
Right.
Or is there something else that you might be able to do, like providing medical assistance or something like that? So
Right.
it's a multifaceted.
Is there a specific tactic that you guys would like to share with us?
Come to the class.
Well, what if you're not an educator?
One of the biggest things I would say is to pay attention and be situationally aware. Pay attention to the people that are around you. There are lots of clues, so many clues that you can really hone into.
Right.
I mean, is there something else that you would think?
No, the situationally aware
Yeah, I
would
think
definitely
that's
be
the
what I
biggest
would
thing.
say, but that's something that you can look up. There's a
Right.
great book called The Gift of Fear that talks about trusting your instincts. Every woman should read it, in my opinion. One of the things we really want to get across to the teachers is that your spot might not be to respond to the shooter. Let's say he
Right.
comes into your classroom and you may not be the person to make the decision to respond, but find your spot. Your spot might be to give medical care or to calm somebody who may have been injured, or that's what we're trying to get to the teachers, is
Right.
that there's many pieces to the puzzle. You just have to pick your piece.
So just because I'm interested in this, is there kind of like a scenario that you guys might go through where a teacher is on lockdown and then they realize that the person is in the room already?
Yes.
It's a student?
So in the classroom, we actually do some fun activities that simulate that type of thing. Ganging up and using the people that are within your classroom and actually putting force up against the
Right.
perpetrator is something that can be used. Of course, you want to hope that you stay in lockdown and that nothing happens, but it's a possibility that there is a breach, or that you are inside the actual
Right.
room or the area with the person who is creating harm. So first of all, finding the things in the classroom and knowing ahead of time, before anything ever happens, knowing ahead of time what you would do, where your escape routes are, what you can use as makeshift tools, and who you can use in your classroom that can actually help you.
Right.
Maybe a stronger person or a larger person or a closer person to the door, and being able to put those plans together.
One thing that we found with the courses that we've already taught is that the schools are very, very different, and it all just depends on the principal.
Yeah.
And we met some schools that were prepared and were actually practicing their lockdown procedures, and some schools that had never practiced one ever before. So, we're trying to just give these teachers the tools that they need.
Right.
So that they can stick it in their toolbox. We also talk about classes that are free, and talk about, if you see a free class, take it. Even if it's the same information by a different person, take it. You
Right.
can never have too much of that information in your pocket when you're talking about protecting our children.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is a very, controversial topic lately, and, a lot of people are saying, arm the teachers, don't arm the teachers, and I think that this class is going to help a lot of people to be more prepared. I mean, you obviously can't arm the teachers. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, but I do think it's important for them to have, go to this class, see what tools you can makeshift things from, and make sure that you purchase these items and stick them in your own classroom so that when things like this happen, you have at least an idea of what you're going to do. I know it's hard when you get flustered, but
It's an introduction. It's a place to start.
Yeah.
So that you can start thinking about the topic. And a lot of teachers that come to the class, they don't even want to think about it. They
Right.
don't want to talk about it. And we force them to do that.
Well, I think what you ladies are doing is amazing. So thank you guys so much for joining me
Thank
and
you.
educating
Thank
us
you.
about this class. So make sure that you guys go to this class. And again, that's on September 15th,
from
It's a
8 to
Saturday.
noon.
at the
First Baptist Church.
First Baptist Church. All right, don't go away. We'll be right back with more on the Woman Factor.